sector is clear.
Give us everything we got! All wings.
What's up, y'all? Saboteur6 here, and man, oh man, I have figured out how to recreate the Master of the Force proc damage, which I believe is the way the card is supposed to work when it does work. The tooltip is misleading, if not altogether incorrect, and I'm going to show you what I mean. Okay, just to catch everybody up that hasn't been following or even looked into this before, we're looking at Master of the Force, which is a star card that modifies Yoda's Unleash ability. And a lot of the confusion is from this tooltip right here, from the equip menu. It says, when the Unleash radius is at max distance, unleashing it will deal bonus damage. That's written in a way that's not how the actual damage is applied. The next tooltip is more accurate to what's happening. So this tooltip is a lot of the reason this card is misunderstood. Okay, so we move into once you equip the star card, which for me it's a common because I haven't bothered to rank this thing up because it's kind of garbage, which is disappointing. All this work in this card is pretty whack. Anyway, so this tooltip is more accurate to what actually happens when the damage is applied by the star card. Unleash deals 20 bonus damage at max radius, or 30, 40, 50. 50s is the epic version. So what typically happens is you'll try to shoot Yoda. The aggressor, a blaster fire person, will shoot Yoda, max out his blue bar, and nothing typically will happen. There's no damage applied. So okay, it seems like the way this star card works is that either A, Yoda needs to be max radius away from the person, so to try and get the person at the end of the cone of Unleash to somehow apply bonus damage to Unleash, or to B, max out the blue bar on a full max Unleash, then the bonus damage is applied. It does not happen in either one of those situations because the way it works right now, if it's working correctly, which it seems that it might be, which is kind of sad because it's underwhelming. I mean, working correctly in the way that the damage is applied when it does work, which I will show. So basically, the damage is not applied to the Unleash ability itself as far as the cone activation. So it will never be, at least in the current version of this star card, where you cast Unleash and then on top of the damage you do from that, there is this bonus damage and it's all added the same. The most you will be able to do when it is working properly is to cast Unleash and then have the proc damage go off before the actual damage from the cone hits, and then you get the damage that way. But that's not as good as having the damage on top of the cone, because the only way you get the proc to affect you is if you're doing blaster fire to Yoda. So in theory, if Yoda is in a big team fight and he has a max blue bar Unleash and he lets it go, the bonus damage is not going to hurt anyone that hasn't been shooting him to max out that blue bar to make it proc on them. So the cone will not have the extra damage. So you're fighting Darth Maul and Darth Vader and Kylo Ren, and Phasma is shooting you in Heroes vs. Villains, and she maxes out your blue bar. She's going to get the proc damage, and then if the cone hits her, she'll also get that damage. But Kylo, Darth Maul, and Darth Vader will not. So it's drastically just not as cool as it sounds. It's not an effective star card. Because what happens is you think that if, okay, I got a 50 bonus damage epic version of this card plus a max Unleash at 175, I'm going to do 225 damage of a pretty beefy, like wide coned Unleash. That's not going to happen. That's not the way it works. But I'll get into it here when I test against all the villain characters and then the generic stormtrooper guys to show how you can recreate this. So let's get right into it.
Shoot it!
Okay, so first off, we're looking at Iden. She unloads, maxes Yoda's blue bar, no damage done to her. You see his blue bar maxed, no damage done to her. The star card is equipped, by the way. Now, She has been force pushed. She's been unleashed. Now the proc will work for whatever reason. So once the aggressor has been pushed by an unleash, the proc will start to take effect. So look at her health. She's taken 20 damage for maxing out his blue bar. And she'll do it consecutively now. I do it at least 3-4 times. You can actually kill yourself doing this. And I'll show that as well. 4 times in a row it works. Now, let's try it on some other characters. Generic heavy dude. Welcome to the party.
Hostile closing in.
Abandon your mission, you should.
Okay. Same thing. Just fresh out of spawn, no damage. No proc damage. He's been pushed, or she's been pushed. Let the hit points get back up, and we'll see what happens. Proc starts to happen. See? Went from 200 to 180. Does it again. Does it for several more times. And see, I thought maybe it was just specific to villain characters and not the generic, grunt characters, but it does it consistently here too. So the trick seems to be tag them with an unleash at any value, meaning like at any charge level, and then once you do the next block absorb, once you unleash comes off cooldown, this proc will take effect. The star card will start to work. Even though the star card, let's be honest, is pretty garbage if this is all it does, because this is not that helpful. It's super situational, and against any opponent that's not the computer AI, they're just going to stop shooting it. They're not going to shoot themselves to death. They're going to realize that, oh man, me shooting Yoda while he's doing block absorb is a bad idea, because I'm losing all kinds of damage. But it's interesting to see that, like in this case, the blue bar just has to degrade a little bit, and then if it's maxed out again, the proc happens. So the proc doesn't really go on cooldown. So if you look at Yoda's blue bar, it can just dip under for a little bit, and then takes blast of fire, goes back up, the damage happens. So you can actually kill yourself. Now if you look also here, and I'm going to slow it down and pause it, it is the thing that says that kills that stormtrooper is unleash. So I really think the tooltip is written incorrectly. The radius the max radius is when you get the full blue bar around or the full cone radius, and then the damage is applied. I hope I'm wrong. I'll be honest. I hope that this is not all this star card is supposed to do, because it is so situational already that it's to the point where it's not going to have any value. But same thing here. He's the generic stormtrooper shot at Yoda, took no proc damage after he was pushed. Now he's starting to take proc damage, and will continue to injure himself. See? I mean, it just keeps on going. I think I'm trying to have the stormtrooper kill himself here, which is why I haven't respawned out yet. Just to again show that the death method was unleashed. So let's test it on heroes again, or villains. Boba Fett. This is a fresh spawn Boba Fett. No damage, even though he's maxing out Yoda's blue bar. Now I try to see maybe the cone maybe the unleash doesn't actually have to hit the character. Maybe it just has to for some reason, recycle, go on cooldown to see maybe the proc will work that way. But no, that doesn't work. It looks like the unleash has to actually hit the character to be aggressive.
Not easy, will I make it?
Because now he's taking proc damage.
You're beaten.
Now he's taking the 20 HP damage from the common star card. I did not test if it can be any damage that Yoda just has to damage that character, or if it has to, you know, like I didn't do anything other than unleash to knock them down or do damage. So maybe just a saber swipe or a dash, and then the proc will work. I don't know, but this definitely, as seen here, will work in recreating what the star card does, or at least have the star card do anything. I'm still not convinced that, or I guess I'm just hoping that this is not all the star card is, because it's pretty crap if it is. So now I'll start testing the ones I had more difficulty with last time. So we have Bosk here, hip fire, nothing as far as the proc actually happening. Box remains at full hit points. So let's give Mr. Bosk a shove and see what happens. I think you guys have already figured out that this happens across every character I test.
Defend myself, I must. Your aim fails you.
As soon as he hits max radius on Yoda's unleashed blue bar, he takes proc damage without cooldown. So now let's check Grandpappy Palpatine, the most buggy of them all, because he does weird stuff. So he has a specific bug with his lightning on Yoda, where he will just tag Yoda for a full lightning blast, and he maxes out his blue bar. Yoda actually will bank blue bar with Palpatine. So there we go. So we unleashed Palpatine. Let's see if the proc will work, because Palpatine is bugged all to hell. So I whiffed the lightning there because I don't know how to use Palpatine well. And it does proc. Look, it procs, but then it won't continue to do it because the way Yoda's blue bar block works with Palpatine is bugged, so it really only happens once. But it did happen. He went from 700 to 680, and you could slow it down to see that. And so I pushed Palpatine again to see if I can get it to happen again.
Concentrate.
And it does proc again. So it seems to be consistent even with Palpatine. The only difference is it'll just happen once because Yoda's blue bar stays maxed. So that's how you recreate it. That's how you get the damage from this card. Super underwhelming, all this work, and the card is junk, basically, if this is all it's going to do. Hopefully I am wrong about this, and if DICE looks into this and the card is just drastically doing something different than what was intended, and this gets changed, that the damage be applied to the cone of Unleash versus this weird proc damage situation. Hopefully that is the case, but hey, I have no way of knowing that. Either way, the card's pretty garbage, so I wouldn't even recommend using it or ranking it up in its current state, because I mean, it's not even working right in the broken way, if that makes sense, before it's even looked at. So you're better off using something else. Anyway, if you made it this far, thank you. Appreciate it. If you enjoyed the content, consider giving me a like, give me a subscribe. I main Yoda and HVV, so I definitely will have more Yoda content, gameplay, maybe some guides, who knows. But I definitely will keep the Battlefront 2 love going. Appreciate it. Till next time.